Yeah, my name's Nathan Woods. I'm from central Pennsylvania. I started doing the undoing work about 7 years ago, and it was only 2 years ago, though, that I started working with the art of NGF and Command Z and Garrett and that whole crew. And after traveling around the country for a bit, I came back to Pennsylvania, and I just really wanted to go deeper into the work. And I found that after the first workshop I took, that this was just the right group of people, the right techniques. It was just exactly what I was looking for. I had a lot of problems, mostly self-inflicted. I'm a writer. I write poetry primarily, which you could argue is a problem in itself. That's what I used to think, at least. But going along with that, I had strong desire for adventure, for travel, for romance, and all these things. And I had some of that, but a lot of it was engulfed in feelings and ideas of inadequacy, desperation. I couldn't really get things to work. I was drunk half the time, or just being counterproductive to the things that I claimed that I wanted. So yeah, I was bouncing around from jobs. I would travel for a little bit, and I'd get depressed, and, drink, and stop writing, and blah, blah, blah. But I just wasn't a very happy camper. I'd be probably doing the same thing that I had been doing, which was not a whole lot. It wouldn't have been nearly as glorious as things are now. I don't know. Yeah, I read a lot of books that had some pretty good techniques. I mean, like some of the Robert Anton Wilson books, Osho, different, Buddhism, Gurdjieff, meditation stuff. And I got some interesting results from that, but nothing really long lasting or anything that I could implement consistently. I first got the Radical Undoing book that Hyatt put out. I'm not sure when the first edition was, and that had some of the basic techniques. And I realized after doing those for a month or two that something was actually there were real results there. There was something was going on. So then I got the DVDs, and after my first session doing the breathing session, it's like, wow, I've never had anything come close to this level of intensity. I've always liked intensity. Everything I do, like I play soccer. I like the intensity of that. I like poetry, and that's a large part of what drew me to this work, was the intensity of it. I would try to get that same intensity through self-destructive means, but this was a way that instead of creating tension for myself, it was getting rid of it. It was still, a little anxiety producing, doing it on my own in particular, just because it's so powerful. It's like, I think you ideally have someone guiding you through it. I first heard about Command Z through the original podcast. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I was thinking it was through the podcast, and then that was a few years even before I got to working with Garrett. And it had just been sort of in the back of my mind, and I was out west, and I came back to the East Coast with my girlfriend, and for some reason at the time that just popped into my awareness, and I was like, this is what you should do next. And I did it, thankfully, and it's been a crazy 2 years since, but awesome. I had applied for it when I had first come to Command Z, actually, and that's how, and the Elite wasn't then available, so I took another workshop. Garrett had gotten in contact with me and said, the Elite's coming on. It was sort of one of these things where I was like, if I can do this, I'm going to do it. I was half horrified to do it, but it was one of those, like, it wasn't so much a decision process. It was like, how can I make this happen? It wasn't a matter of weighing the pros and cons. It was, I knew I wanted to do it, partly because I had so much, I was sort of terrified of the prospect of doing it. But that's generally, I've found, it's that terror is actually like life telling you to do something. Not always, of course, but it was a mixture of excitement and terror. Well, there's many ways I've benefited, but one that's popping out to me right now, it's just the fact that I have no doubts about the rightness for me of the things that I'm doing. So, making art, writing poetry. There was a time I had told Garrett this at one point. There was a time I was half hoping that through this undoing work that I would realize that I don't really want to be a poet and all these things, just because it seemed like it had just created all these hassles for me. It was like this burden. I was like, I wish I could just undo myself and get rid of all this nonsense so I can start a life. But it turns out that that's all the things that I love doing, and it's not like I arrived at that conclusion from, there was no it wasn't logically ascertained. Like I just organically came to that realization, like, this is what I want to do with my life. It's like, I'm not going to be a multimillionaire, most likely. I'm not ruling it out, but it's like, I'm a poet, I guess. It's like, that's fine. So that was a huge relief, and it's like, now I can do that without holding back, and that's much. I am enjoying doing all those things more than I ever have, and I'm stoked about it. I mean, if you've done a session, it's like the next day, you know it's working. But oh geez, with this, I found that it's hard. You don't necessarily realize it right away, like how much things have shifted. But it's like, if I look back now, I finished the Elite about a month ago, so started 4 months ago. If I look back at myself before I started the Elite 4 months ago, I'm embarrassed by the person I was 4 months ago, which is, you think that's a bad thing. That's the best sign that you're making progress. It's like, I'm embarrassed how I acted yesterday or last month or whatever, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's different for everyone, I'm sure, but I'd say pretty damn quick. Yes, it met and exceeded my expectations. I mean, I had been doing the work long enough to know that, you can't predict the final outcome. Thank God. It's like, do you want to know exactly how this all is going to play out? It's like, yeah, you might think you want that, but it's like, no, yeah. So it delivered. I think I remember one of the emails for the elite seeing something to the effect of, you can't unring this bell, something to that effect. And it's like, there's no going back. Like, you do this, there's no off switch at this point. It's like, you're in it, which you are regardless, but just enjoy it. I would say it was primarily Garrett, but there's other people in the work that you can bounce ideas off of and talk to, and I think that's really one of the biggest values I've found from working with the art of NGF. It's the community, and I hate all it. You hear people talk about the community. I love the community here at whatever, this township, or it's like I hate all that talk. But it's like, when there's an actual group of people that are interested in what you have to say, that pay attention to you, interested in your evolution, it's like, damn, it just makes everything so much easier and more enjoyable. It's like, I didn't even know that existed. I had a little glimmer of that on like one soccer team I had played on in high school. We were pretty close. 2 other situations where I had like a group of people, and there was like, this community, brotherhood, whatever. But it's like, yeah, it's a great resource. I was very much a lone wolf for many years, and that's, you can romanticize it, but it can get pretty miserable. When something happens that upsets me or is unexpected, when something bad happens, something that might have lasted, those feelings of upset that might have lasted for a whole afternoon or even a few days if it was something bigger. Now it's just like, you drop it in 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe less, but apply the right exercise if I'm tuning in right. So, on a daily basis, I'm just way less stressed. I'm not constantly ruminating. I just have more energy. That's another big one. I just do more things. My ability to just communicate, listen to other people, that's improved significantly. I'm more disciplined now, but it's not like I'm not a tyrant over myself. If I want to eat some pizza, just because I'm trying to eat healthy, I'll eat the pizza. If I want to lay in bed and play a video game, I'll do that, and that's fine. It's I don't make that my be all and end all, but it's like I have self-discipline without tyranny, how I put it. I would certainly recommend it to anyone that anyone that knows that I had always known, even when I was younger, that there was a way to have the life I wanted. But it's like, it seems impossible, but it's really just a matter of getting out of your own way. So I'd recommend it to any of my friends, and I have. You only YOLO once. But really, it's like, what do you have to lose? Like, literally. That was part of, actually, now that I think about it, part of my decision-making process for all this stuff. It's like, I've always sort of had this has been one of the things that I think has always played to my advantage in my life, for all the stupid ass stuff I've done. It's like, this is gonna end at some point. So, what are you doing? Like, play to win. You might lose. There's no guarantees, but it's like, you're a lot tougher than you think you are, and you'll survive more likely than not. So just go for it.